Hello, and welcome to the Innovia Conversation. I'm Steve Waltz.
And I'm Jeff Pergolski.
And today, Jeff, we have a special guest.
I know that. I know. I read my calendar appointments. And is it safe to say that this is our first international guest?
Oh, that's right, because he's north of the border. Right? What did they say? Hey, you hoser. We have Mark Hamblin from InsightWorks. Welcome, Mark.
Yes, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. And I do feel special being called the special guest. I don't know if that's you call everybody a special guest or not.
Yeah, pretty much.
I do feel special. Thank you.
But you're more special.
Excellent. And also a hoser apparently. So.
Well, I guess aging myself as the McKenzie brothers, and I think I'm trying to think where I saw you at when I was doing the Canadian road trip for NAVOG. I think was it Calgary or Calgary?
Calgary, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I didn't realize how close you lived there, up in Canada.
Yeah, we're just one town over, about 200 miles north, and that's where I am.
That's right. So that's not the team the Blackhawks won, was it? Or I won't go there if that's the case. We'll get back. I'll get back to that. I'm sure that that was inappropriate. But anyway, we're glad to have you, and we do a lot with InsightWorks. That's why we're excited to have you. We have quite a few of our customers that are using you or thinking about using your solution. And when I don't know what to Jeff, but when I think of InsightWorks, I used to always think of just warehousing, but you are just so much more than that now. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about why you started your company and a little bit about all the different offerings you have, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, we started. Initially, it was a partnership, and now it's sort of a sole proprietorship almost. But initially, I started this because I'm lazy. Really, is what it boils down to. So. Things just sort of carried me along this way to get into the nav and Business Central world. But prior to that, I was, in software development, we're mostly oil and gas, and even a little bit in the nuclear power industry and things like that, developing software there, developing products. So, I moved I left that job and sort of started out on my own, and I landed a consulting job doing some nav work, and I enjoyed it. And then, of course, the first thing they ask you for is modifications, and rather than building a modification, I built a product and sold that instead of charging it for a modification. And that's kind of how InsightWorks got started. We, rather than doing modifications, we'd kind of build them up as products where it made sense and sell them. So we actually started with our shop floor insight product. It used to be called, TCM or time collection module. And that was 15 years ago, I think, 14 years ago we built that. And then grew from there, grew into warehousing and everything else. So, and prior to that, I worked as an operations manager in a manufacturing facility. I was a parts manager at a motorcycle shop. And a lot of the people here have that type of, industry background and development background. I even taught computer engineering for a while at the college up here. So, bit of an interesting background for the people that I work with and myself. But that's really how it got started, right? Just kind of went with the flow and started building cool products that people wanted, and have grown since that. And then as far as those products, just because you asked and I didn't give you enough time to interrupt me, I'll keep going. We have grown out from the time collection into the warehousing, and we've even got a point of sale solution. We call it counter sales. It's more industrial type point of sale, and a number of free offerings for the cloud version of Business Central and all sorts of things. So yeah, we do have a fairly broad portfolio now to sort of cover off all the little gaps that you find within Nav and Business Central that you may want to fill with some add-ons.
So Mark, I got a question for you.
Sure.
I know I've been in the channel now for 5 years, and when I first came on, Microsoft has started that message of cloud first, mobile first, and then D365, and then it obviously evolved into Business Central. When did you see that coming? Because it seems like you got ahead of a lot of people on that and really embraced that.
Yeah, I think back in my prior life, even in the last position I was in, we actually built a SaaS-based oil and gas solution. So even 15, 20 years ago, we saw that was the future, or at least I'd been exposed to that. And so when Microsoft got on board, I thought, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a winner. And we actually got involved when it was called Project Madeira. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was 2017. And we started building apps for that. We actually built a Canadian payroll package. It was actually very good, but recently we decided we didn't want to be a payroll company. So we kind of moved away from the payroll package, though you still find it on AppSource. But yeah, so back in 2017, we started with the cloud version 1 of extensions, and it was very painful, and we've grown up with it since then. So we do have, a pretty long history, we've been with the cloud version for the life of the product for the most part. And a lot of our focus is on the cloud. A lot of the things are hitting the cloud version first and then going to the on-prem version. So we're tending to focus more on the cloud side than the on-prem. And we still support the on-prem, of course, but the cloud version is really the future.
It's great to hear, because you said something that really opened my eyes up. I'm with you. I saw the cloud coming. Maybe because I came from a different world, and I saw the marketing message from there. But I think when they went from doing it first in the SaaS versus the on-premise, kind of woke up people in the channel, because normally it was the other way around, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
And then you still see that. I mean, there's a bit of a decision you have to make. Do you stay with your legacy customers and maintain your legacy code base and sort of focus on that, or do you take the leap and make a and it's been a very big investment in time and effort and learning everything to jump over and really pursue the cloud strategy. And a lot of people won't go cloud, and they'll do Azure hosting or on-prem and things like that. So I mean, you still need to support that, but really, we've really doubled our development effort, because now we have to maintain an older code base for the older versions of Nav all the way back to Nav 2013, plus the newer code base for the cloud. And I mean, it changes so fast. Every 6 months there's a new release from Microsoft on the cloud, and it invariably changes something that impacts us, and we have to adapt. And it's quite the ride. It's very interesting, but it is really, I think, the future.
Jeff, I got one more question, and I'll let you. It is, and Microsoft is behemoth. It's now one of the largest companies in the world, and they put all this money into the software, and then you got ISVs, add-ons like yourself that are trying to play in all the different ponds that they got, and the older versions, and different code bases. And has that been a challenge for you, or you think, or I'd like to actually hear if it's a challenge for you, and do you think it's a challenge in the channel in general?
Yeah, it's a massive challenge for us, because I mean, we occasionally still have people ask us about NAV 2009. Do you support that? And technically we could, but we just don't anymore. And so we do have that older code base that that we have to manage, and so in the CAL code, and then of course in the new AL code. And even worse than that, every version of Nav or Business Central is a little bit different. So not only is it different code bases, different languages essentially that you're coding in, it's also every version of Business Central that gets released has its idiosyncrasies that you have to address. So, now we're at, BC 16 and soon to be 17. Well, and then 16.1, 16.2, 3, 4, and each of those can change things a little bit. So, I mean, we've really got about 15 different branches that we have to maintain just to support Business Central. You call it Business Central, but we've got about 15 different, applications that we have to maintain. I shouldn't say applications, but 16 or 15 different builds of the same application just to support Business Central, the various cumulative updates and everything on Business Central. So yeah, it is a challenge.
So I thought it was easy to assemble from what Microsoft told us.
It's easy when you see it on the front end. I go to AppSource, I install this thing, I run the setup, and hey, I'm working. This is great. But the effort to get you there on the back end is pretty painful right now. But it is getting better. Microsoft is doing a great job. I mean, they're investing immense time and effort, and you can see it play out. Every new version is better. reduces the effort on our part, that sort of thing, going forward. But we still have to maintain those older code bases as well.
And that's why we have Jeff as the pre-sales engineer. To keep in touch with everything that you said, right? Because you had the version 14 of BC, which, there's the big chatter of it. Now they just extended that out, and it's just a lot going on, right, Jeff?
Yeah. I sort of miss the days when I could panic, in a panic, call Mark and ask him for some help because my scanning wasn't working, or I needed to figure something out, and he would always start by like, well, what version are you running, and take me through a typical support ticket scenario, because it really is a challenge. And I think we've recognized that as a partner, in that keeping our delivery resources up to speed on the constant. As part of the sales team, we're always showing the latest and greatest, but our delivery staff doesn't always have the time to play with that as we do, and they go from, this is a version 15 project, this is a version 16 project, and then all of us in the channel trying to keep up with Microsoft. And I think ultimately that Microsoft is doing the right thing, putting putting more power in the hands of the end user, making the application more flexible. But as you said, having to maintain the sort of the sins of the past is something that we're all left with. And I think a question I guess I have for you, as someone who has been in the channel and in a more technical development side. Do you you said that you like the direction that Microsoft is going. Do you think that do you think we're going to be at what point do you think we're going to be at a complete SaaS version? Like, do you think that Microsoft will always have an on version? An on-prem option, or do you think they're going to go to SaaS at some point, SaaS only?
My guess is that they're going to keep going with on-prem for the foreseeable future, but it's a guess. I mean, they'll make their decisions, but I think there's enough companies out there that don't necessarily want to go to the cloud quite yet, or have too much invested in on-prem infrastructure, that they won't move easily. And if you kind of look at the other products that Microsoft offers, I mean, you can still buy Office and install it. You can buy it on a CD and install it, that sort of thing. I don't know how much longer that's going to go on. Or you can buy it as a subscription through Office 365. So I suspect they'll keep doing the on-prem version for a while. I actually thought they would get rid of the perpetual licensing and just go all subscription. So I expect that's likely going to happen. So that
they kind of did, didn't they, Jeff, with the monthly and annual? I don't know if you knew that or not, Mark, but you can take your annual enhancement and pay it monthly now.
Exactly, yeah. So it's, you pay a bunch of money up front and then you pay a lower monthly subscription is basically what they've said. But yeah, I could see them getting rid of that perpetual licensing model entirely. So anyway, yeah, I think they'll have it for on-prem for a while. The nice thing is, we are seeing a lot fewer older implementations, right? We're not seeing installs on NAV 2015 I shouldn't say that. We've got one right now. But anyway, we're not seeing that many older installs. Everything is sort of newer. Everybody's sort of, bumping up against BC 14 to get their feet wet, because they can still use a role tailor client, that sort of thing. And then they're jumping off and going into the newer versions. And even that helps a lot. If they're on-prem and they're on BC 16, it's way easier than if they're on BC 14 or NAV 2018 or whatever. So, I think that on-prem will be there, but hopefully everybody will be able to stay a lot more up to date than they have in the past, given the new architecture, right, with the extensions and everything else.
Gotcha. All right, Steve, back to you monopolizing the conversation.
I've been told by others, Mark, that I kind of can talk more than Jeff, but that's
only on the podcast, not in general. In general, I speak more.
Nice.
You made your match with me today because I've had a lot of caffeine. That was my prep for this call, is just drink a lot of coffee, and now you can't stop me. So there you go.
Been drinking for 4 hours waiting for you guys.
That's right. He's hopped up on energy drinks and coffee, and
That's right.
But then you have to balance that with his Canadian personality, so actually he evens out to be just slightly less energetic than Steve and I. Maybe annoying is the better term, not energetic.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm generally a lot more annoying than I am energetic, so maybe it's the better term.
I was just going to say, I deal with a lot of people that are looking at either, moving from NAV to Business Central or just starting over again. And it used to be that price point, right? If you didn't do $10 million of sales or have $250,000, don't even talk about an ERP system. And now, how it's built is that's not necessarily true with, the SaaS or even the Business Central on premise. And with the offerings, and I know you have a couple offerings that you do, and they're at no charge. And do you see people now or customers now that maybe they're more startup or smaller coming in and utilizing your offerings and the Microsoft ERP offerings?
Yeah, we see a lot of that. I mean, I think it's going to take a while for some of the larger customers to embrace the cloud and move over, just for a number of reasons. But, the mid-size and actually the much smaller, you're right. You never saw a 2-user NAV implementation or anything like that, or a 5-user even NAV implementation was pretty rare. But you see that quite a bit in BC Cloud because it's cheap. It's $70 a user a month, something like that, if you just need the essentials, and you're off to the races. So we do see a lot of smaller guys, and the nice thing is there's a ton of functionality out there for those smaller guys. I mean, it used to be that NAV/Business Central was a very complicated system to get set up and going, and if you needed this feature the QuickBooks had out of the box or whatever, it wasn't in NAV because it's a higher end solution. Well, now those are plugins off AppSource. You can go in there and find what you're looking for, run the install, and bang, you've got that functionality. And as you mentioned, we've built a few of those things ourselves, to help. What I look at Business Central as is it's you're out there buying a luxury car, right? You're buying a luxury car at a better price point than a luxury car, but if you're using it for production or distribution, but you buy this beautiful car, and then you go in there and it's like, well, it doesn't have a radio, and there's floor mat missing in the back seat or something like that. Overall, the car is awesome and it does everything I need, but it needs a radio. So what do? We give you a radio for free. So that helps people adopt the solution very easily and get the functionality they need, and it's not costing them anything. They're getting our stuff for free. And then one day they'll go, I need a radio that shakes my neighbor's windows when I drive by. So yeah, then they upgrade and they start paying for the warehouse management or shop floor management or whatever they want to do. So that's kind of where we sit, right? We provide sort of the base free layer of a number of these tools that people can use to get more out of the solution up front. Doesn't cost them anything. They don't even have to register with us. I don't even know how many people are using the thing. I see the downloads, but there's thousands of people out there using this stuff. I have no idea who they are. They just install it, use it, and if they're happy with it, they'll come back to us potentially if they want to upgrade. So, that's how I see Business Central. So to answer your question, that was a long-winded answer. Yes, I see smaller companies coming in there, and the reason is because number one, the price point, and number two, the functionality that's available now from third parties like us and others.
So is it more plug and play? Do you have training? I mean, when they download the free stuff that you have, I mean, is it that easy where they don't need training? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what it is. So, I mean, for free solutions, we have what we call Doc Extender, which is drag and drop. Yeah, no training for that. You just run it. Now you can drag and drop documents, and it uploads to SharePoint or Business Central. We have a cloud print connector, so that allows you to automatically print things to various printers within Business Central, which I think Microsoft will eventually supersede with their universal print service, but that might be another year. But until then, hey, we've got something that solves that problem. And then we've got what we call WMS Express, which is really a pretty reasonably featured warehouse management solution you can run on a handheld device or phone or whatever you want. And for that, you would need a bit of training. And we have a number of knowledge-based articles and some videos and things like that people can use to get up to speed. So I would say the majority of people could probably get up to speed with that on their own without our input. Otherwise, they can buy some support hours from us and we can help them out. But generally speaking, it's fairly easy to use. And then the last one we have, which we haven't fully announced yet, but it'll be on Apps.
Right.
Yeah, this is the world. The world of the announcement is a graphical scheduler, because that's another gap, right? That's the missing radio in our luxury car. If you're a manufacturer and you want to, see your shop floor sort of in a graphical view, like, well, not the shop floor, but the loading on your work centers in sort of a graphical format, Business Central doesn't really have anything for that. So here's one for free. Now you can go in and you can see what your loading is, what jobs are going to be running when and where. You can color code them. You can do all that kind of stuff, drag and drop the schedule around, and it's free. Right? It doesn't cost you anything, and they've got that functionality.
So how much money would we make selling your free stuff?
It's
just having some fun with you, Mark. I know some partners are probably going, what? And so you have free stuff and pay stuff, right? Like that. And is there
well, the beauty, the beauty for the end users obviously is this stuff is free. It's great, right? Like I get a warehouse management solution for free. And not only that, you can buy the hardware from us. We don't care where you get the hardware. You can run it on your phone. But if you buy the hardware from us, and there's devices that we sell that are $600 for a little rugged scanner that's a 2D scanner, and a great little unit, and $600, cheaper than a current cell phone, and it comes preloaded and everything. So you buy this thing, you scan it, and away you go. So anyway, the end users, they love this stuff because it's free, it's easy to use, all that kind of stuff. The partners love it too because it helps you promote and sell Business Central. So, if you're an end user listening to the podcast, you can close your ears for a sec, because this is, talking about how we sell stuff to you. But really, if you're going out there and you're talking to potential customers, and you can show, yes, you can do barcode scanning, you can do graphical scheduling, you can do all that, and it just comes and drag and drop into SharePoint for document management, those sorts of things. You can do all that from within Business Central. It doesn't cost you anything extra. Well, you're going to sell a lot more Business Central. A lot more people are going to be willing to adopt that platform. Like, who's going to look at NetSuite after that? Like, screw that. Nobody's going to look at NetSuite after they see this stuff in Business Central, right? So I think partners are going to get it. It makes it a lot easier for partners to present the product, and it's obviously a lot more attractive to end users coming in. Also for upgrades, I should mention that as well. We talked a little bit about people being on older versions of Nav and Business Central and maybe moving to the cloud or whatever. Well, this is a good incentive. They might be saying, okay, well, we've been on Nav for a few years now. We want to improve our warehouse processes. So we're going to spend a bunch of money on a warehouse management system from InsightWorks or whatever, and do that. Well, instead of doing that, why don't you take that money you would have spent on the WMS, spend that on an upgrade to get to Business Central Cloud, and now you get the warehouse management stuff free as soon as you do that. So it's a lot more valuable, even though that WMS Express is cloud only right now. It's a lot more valuable even to the guys running on premises, because now, if they need that type of solution, they spend the money on the upgrade versus the WMS, and they get the WMS for free.
Compared to the pay for, functionality-wise, is there a huge difference?
Yeah, I mean, we can't give everything away, but it's a scaled down version of the full Warehouse Insight product. But it does sort of the key things that you'd want to do in a warehouse. So if you ask people, well, what do you want to do with the scanner? Most of the time you hear, well, I want to do some picking, I want to do inventory counts, and I want to do receiving. Great, that's what we do. So that's what the WMS Express essentially does. And it works with all configurations of Business Central. So whether you have advanced warehousing turned on, or you don't even have bins turned on, maybe you're just a retail store and you just want to be able to walk through there and do an inventory count periodically with a little scanning device. Great, you can do that. It's free, right? well, not the scanning device, but the software. So that's the the play we have with that is it's the core operations that most people perform every day. If you need to do things like the license plating or tote picking or more ad hoc movements, those sorts of things, then you're going to have to upgrade to the full version.
Great. So Jeff just got back from vacation. You must have had a really relaxing vacation, because usually he'll get more involved in Pocket a little bit more, Mark. So this is a unique podcast for me.
Hey, like I like this. We've got Mark's got a lot to say, and I think that's actually, I would guess if we surveyed the dozens and dozens of listeners to our podcast, they probably would all say that needing less Jeff time and more guest time. So
Jeff, you like cowbell. You need more cowbell.
Well, that's just universally true. But yeah, I think that's all great insight from Mark. Hey, do you like how I did that, Steve?
That works.
Yeah.
Jeff didn't catch that, Mark.
Yeah, it was subtle.
Yeah, I'm not the Steve is the cerebral one of our pairing here. So
we're in trouble.
All right. Well, is there Steve, anything else on your list that you wanted to ask Mark about? I think from my perspective, I think we covered a lot of ground. I don't know. Did we break down clearly all of Mark's different product offerings, or maybe how to track Mark down on the internet, on his website, any of his social media accounts, et cetera, to get plugged into the InsightWorks world if they've got questions?
No, I interrupted him before he got a chance.
Oh, no, I forgot to mention any of that, but I'm not sure you'd be able to interrupt me at this point if you tried. I'm just wired now. But anyway, yes.
Get out of the way.
Well, yeah. The easiest place to go is our website. So it's dmsiworks.com. So it's a little tough, but dmsiworks.com, or search for InsightWorks, I guess, on Google. And on there, there's tons of resources. There's all the information about the products. If you're looking for like the WMS Express we mentioned, that's just wmsexpress.com. Or if you want shipping, it's shippingfordynamics.com, that type of thing. And you'll find us. And on there, there's a lot of recordings of webinars, like demo recordings, so you can look at the product, see how it works, all of that sort of thing without even having to talk to me, which after listening to this, you probably won't want to. But anyway, if you do want to hear my voice some more, we also do weekly webinars, so usually 2 or 3 a week on the various products, and you can sign up for those on the website as well. And again, listen to me some more if you really feel like hurting yourself.
Mark, that's great, because I know I've seen you at user group meetings and present. You presented to our team, both on the engagement side and also on the delivery side. And the cool thing is it's the mindset that you have. That you're giving. When you started talking about some of these offerings that you're going to be giving, I was like, wow. That's and you kind of just explained a little bit better. It's because Microsoft is investing a lot of money in Business Central, and actually just in the ERP world and the cloud world alone. And by having stuff like that, like you said, they go into the app source. It's kind of scary. I mean, I remember we were like one of the first 7 apps. Remember that, Jeff? It was like, oh, there's like only 7, and then all of a sudden, how many are there now? There's more than 7. I know that. But 700 maybe. I mean, there's
a few hundred at least, yeah.
At least, and and some people, the amazing thing about the internet, the interweb is, people do their due diligence and their research. And the thing that we kind of decipher and you get calls on or talk with is that we become self-proclaimed experts because we spent some time researching it. And the cool thing is by you talking to us about this, when customers call us about it, it's really being able to have those conversations like, well, like you just explained, it's kind of like the freemium version, right? Like here's some great functionality. It can do this, but if it can do that, great. If not, you need more, we got a product that can do more. And I think that's what we try to do in working with you and your team, to have those conversations with our customers, and we really, really appreciate it. So how many products do you have in total? Is it over 100 yet?
No, I think we have about a dozen right now, some on-prem, some cloud, but there's about a dozen. And out of those, we've got 4 or 5 of those are sort of free tools that people can use, and the rest are the paid ones.
So Jeff, have you had anybody ask you, as far as pre-sales, about any of the, like those freemium type products at all? Or when you demo, it's pretty, I know we got a lot of pretty big, large manufacturing type companies.
Yeah, although we demo for all size companies, and we do often bring up it. And I think as a BC partner, sometimes the knock against Business Central is that, oh, you need all these, if it's going to be a fully functional manufacturing solution, you need to get some add-ons. If it's going to be a fully functional WMS, you need to get some add-ons. And I think that is true to a certain extent, but from a value perspective, looking at $70 or $100 per user per month, plus a subscription license to the ISV like InsightWorks is going to be far less expensive and a lot bigger bang for your buck than having to buy a enterprise class system to get the same functionality. So we do show that. And actually, after this call wraps, I'm going to be bugging Mark because I've got a scanner I need to get hooked up and get configured out. He was probably going to push me now to his support team if I'm following the process. But yeah, so I need to get even the free stuff and the premium stuff from him, because for customers that are looking for a complete solution, it's worth the little bit of extra money per month to add that enterprise class functionality.
Nice. So that's why you're trying to speed up and end the podcast, so you can steal them for other things.
That's right.
That's how it rolls, Mark.
Yeah,
nice.
You said we get them for an hour. Like I want at least 10 minutes for questions, personal questions.
Oh, for personal questions, Mark, you need 2 hours.
All right, I'll book it off.
Not that personal, Steve. Not the kind of questions you ask.
Right. So, hey, Mark, are you doing any of the upcoming like national conferences coming up? Any presenting at all?
Yeah, well, I mean, all of them have essentially been canceled or made virtual. So, we're actually scheduled to go out to Prague in October for the European one, but that just got canceled last week, or going virtual. The summit, the end user summit conference, it was supposed to be in Nashville, is virtual, but I'll be doing a few sessions on that one.
Okay.
And of course, the partner conference in Orlando is now being pushed out till April. So I will be happy when we can all go back and do the in-person conferences. But for now, yes, definitely doing some of the virtual ones.
So if you signed up for virtual summit, they can sign up and attend some of your classes.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's a couple. One is actually on cloud versus Azure hosted options. Like which one should you look at if you're looking at cloud versus sort of an on-prem plus Azure. And another one I think is on manufacturing. Yeah, so light manufacturing, so assembly orders versus production and that sort of thing. Do you need a full license? Do you need an essential license, or do you want the slips my mind, the other license,
right,
to run your manufacturing? Right? Can you just live with the light manufacturing? Anyway, those are a couple of the sessions at the Summit Virtual Conference.
Well, it's great to hear. And for our listeners, if you want more information on InsightWorks, I know Mark gave some of his websites. And actually, if you go to our website at noviat.com, we have listed under all our ISV's partners, there's actually Mark's companies there. There's a link directly to the website, or you can actually reach out to your account manager and be more than happy to help you try to connect with this company. Mark, are you on LinkedIn at all?
I am, yes. Just Mark Hamblin. Yeah, hook me up on LinkedIn and we'll chat.
Well, great. You can find us on LinkedIn too, and obviously our website at novi.com. And Jeff, anything that's still related to this podcast that's not about your demo you want to talk about here?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Mark, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. We appreciate it. And Jeff, this podcast is over.